Hi everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul and today we're going to be doing an overview on this computer case from ENERMAX. This is actually a computer case and power supply combo. It is the ENERMAX FULMO mid-tower computer case and it comes with an included 1,350 watt power supply, also from ENERMAX. The model number, in case you guys are curious, is ECA892BG-1350. And here's a full look at the FULMO case. It is a mid-tower case, so it fits ATX and micro ATX motherboards. It's made primarily of steel with some plastic additions as well as some rubber additions, and we're going to start right up here in the front to talk about the various features. We have 4 5¼ inch bays for starters, so you can add your optical drives or other 5¼ inch bay needs right there. This front panel will pop off. You can grip it from underneath just like that. It's got some honeycomb mesh underneath there, and this will act as an air filter. Easy enough to get back there. You can pop off your front panels from this side by pulling back on these little prongs. As you can see, it comes pre-installed with 2 120mm LED fans up in the front for intakes. The panels right here that you remove by bending them can actually be reattached with screws on either side, and you'll notice there is one additional mount here for another 120mm fan, so you can add another fan on right there. If you notice behind there, that red baggie is the power supply additional cables, so we'll come to that as well. Here on the left side of the case, the left side panel, you can see there's a large mesh area. You can mount up to 6 120mm fans on this mesh area for additional airflow into your case or out of your case, however you want to configure it. You also have a larger fan mount right here, which we believe is for 200mm. We actually could not locate that in the documentation, so double check with ENERMAX first, but you can most likely fit a either 180, 200, or 220mm fan right on there. Moving around to the back, we have some rubber grommets here for routing water cooling hoses or cables. You also have a knockout there for your motherboard's inputs and outputs. You get a 120mm exhaust fan that's pre-installed. You have 2, 4, 6, 8 PCI expansion slots for setting up maybe multiple video card solutions. A couple more rubber grommets down there, as well as some additional venting there for airflow. And finally, at the bottom is your power supply mount, and since this does come with a power supply, the power supply is already installed. Also, the side panels can be attached or removed with thumb screws. Speaking of which, I'll remove these right now so we can take a look at the right side panel. The right side panel does come with a 80 or 120mm fan mount there. You can put a slim fan directly behind your CPU to add some additional exhaust and keep the heat down. Here's the look at the side panel. You can see the motherboard tray. We have an entirely black painted interior. There's a nice size knockout here for a CPU backplate. If necessary, there's cable tie-down points scattered throughout as well. Some rubber grommets, at least one up here and one at the bottom for routing some of your cables. You can see a lot of the front panel cables have already been zip tied down there to that bottom one. The power supply is right on the other side of that. There are additional cable routing holes along each side. They have rolled edges, so they'll prevent you from cutting yourself on the metal. Right here is actually a hard drive mount, and I'm going to go into detail on this on the other side, but you actually mount drives vertically on this. Then you can see the opposite side of your optical drive bays. Let's take a look at the top next. Here's a look at the top of the case. The front bezel and top bezel are made of plastic, and they have silver accents going up on either side. Your inputs and outputs are located right up top here. You have a blue port right here. That's a super speed USB 3.0 port, and it connects via an internal 20-pin header. You get 2 USB 2.0 ports, those right here. You get headphone and microphone jacks for your audio. You also get a reset button and a power button, as well as power and hard drive activity lights. This right here is an LED light button, so you can route your fans to a panel inside the case. Use that to turn the LEDs on or off if you want to turn them off, say if you have your case in your room at night and don't want the lights on. Right there is actually a serial ATA port, and you can kind of see the top of it. This little angled section here is an external serial ATA dock, so you can drop a 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch hard drive right into there, and the SATA ports even have a little protective cover on them to keep them protected. Right up here also is another mesh area, and that is to collect dust or whatnot, and it is removable. You just slide it back and it pops off like that. It's got some honeycomb grilling on the inside, and it pops off and back on quite easily. Up here at the top are some additional fan mounts. So you got 120mm or 140mm fan mounts, And you should be able to also mount a 240mm radiator directly underneath this, or on top of it if you don't mind removing that top cover. And finally, here's a look at the bottom of the case. We have some nice rubberized feet, several all along either side to provide stability and also some protection for the desk or surface you have it on, as well as some vibration reduction. There's intake right here underneath the power supply, and another long intake right here. Underneath this little plastic piece of mesh, which I will pop off briefly to show you guys, you actually have some additional fan mounts, and those fan mounts can accommodate either two 120 or two 140mm fans right there, 120s or 140s. And again, there's that plastic mesh. You can pop that off. It's not too tough in order to clean off the dust and that sort of thing. And then there's the internals. So let's take a look at the interior of the case. And here's a look at the interior of the case. There at the back again, you can see the 120mm fan, all 8 of your expansion slots, and the pre-installed 1,350 watt power 1,350 watt power supply, and ENERMAX Max Revo power supply, which is just a beast of a power supply. But apart from that, you have, again, your painted motherboard tray right there. You got some standoffs pre-installed. You can take a look up to the top there. There are no fans that come default installed for exhaust up at the top, but again, you can fit two 120s, two 140s, or a radiator if you so desire. Looking up here to the front, we can see our optical drive cages. They have a pretty simple locking solution here, toolless locking solution to install them and keep them secure. You can also mount them with screws if you so prefer. And then down here at the front, you can see the power supply, I'm sorry, not the power supply, the 3.5-inch drive mounting solution. And this has one of the more unique 3.5-inch drive mounting solutions that I have seen, because they mount vertically to these panels right here. So real quick, I am going to pop off these 2 thumb screws. There's both of those. And I'm going to grab my screwdriver, which fell down, and remove 1 screw from down here. There we go. After you move those, there's just a latch here left to right that will unlock that, and this thing will fall down like that. You can pop out a little foot and rest it, and then you actually mount your drives right here. So you can actually mount 2 3.5-inch drives next to each other here via these rubber grommet mounts, or you can mount 1, 2, 3 2.5-inch drives side by side. There's one of these on either side, so if you access from the opposite side, you can do the same thing to drop it down like this and mount your drives there. And then you have 2 additional 3.5-inch drive mounts on this cage that is mounted to the bottom right there. So that gives you some additional room here, so also some additional room for video card length, because the drives are on either side, not in the middle. And it also positions them right behind your 120mm intake fans. And finally, for the case portion, here is a look at your internal connectors. You have 3 Molex plugs here to connect the LED controller, as well as both of those front fans. Your rear fan has a Molex connector, as well as a 3-pin fan header option, so you can use either one of those. Back down here to our front panel connectors, we have our front panel connectors, hard drive, power switch, power LED, all of those. You also have your HD audio or AC97 audio. You also have a USB 2.0 header for those USB 2.0 ports. You have a serial ATA connector, and that is for your serial ATA dock up at the top. One other plug here for the SATA dock. And then finally you have your 20-pin USB 3.0 header, and that goes to your motherboard to connect that USB 3.0 plug at the front of the case. Now behind all these, we can see the installed ENERMAX Max Revo 1,350 watt power supply. So you can see here from all of our connectors, this is a fully modular power supply, and I've got the manual right here, which is also included. This is a manual just for the power supply. It is a great power supply. It's 80 plus gold certified. It's got a 6-rail design for the 1350 watt, 30 amps per rail. It's got all of your overcurrent, overvoltage, undercurrent, short circuit protections that you would expect with a high quality ENERMAX power supply. And it has a peak voltage or peak wattage of up to 1,620 watts. So you can get your full 1,350 watts out of this power supply. So yeah, you can power a lot of hardware with that. We're going to come back to the accessories for the power supply too, because there's a lot of modular cables with that. But here is the FULMO guide, installation guide that tells you how to install all of your hardware in there. black and white, but plenty of clear instructions as well as images there. Along with that, you get this little bracket here, which is actually for the power supply. It's a cord guard, which you can latch to the back to make sure you don't accidentally yank out your power supply cord. There's a little ENERMAX badge there. Also, that came from the power supply to put on the front of your case, along with your other ENERMAX logos, I assume. We have a couple Velcro sleeves here, or Velcro strips to use for cable management. A couple zip ties. We have individual baggies, hey, and they're labeled, so you got power screws there, optical drive or 2.5-inch drive screws. Your motherboard bolts and sleeves, so for actually mounting your motherboard here. This is a little L bracket for cable retention. You get a speaker header for your motherboard. You also get fan screws, actually very large side fan screws there to go through those rubber grommets for your side fans. And finally, your 3.5-inch hard drive screws to go through the rubber grommets to mount your 3.5-inch hard drives. Finally, here we have two ENERMAX pouches, and these contain all of the modular cables for your 1,350 watt included power supply. So for starters, here we have your motherboard power connectors. That gives you a 20 plus 4-pin main motherboard power connector, as well as an 8-pin supplemental CPU power connector for supplemental CPU power. You also get one more supplemental CPU power cord here, and that will fit either your 8-pin or 4-pin for EPS or ATX 12-volt supplemental CPU power. And then all the rest of these in here are PCI Express. So you got your PCI Express power for your PCI Express video cards. 3 of these cables, each one has 2 6 plus 2-pin PCI Express plugs, so that's 2, 4, 6. Wait. Hold on. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes. 8 total PCI Express power connectors, all of them 6 or 8-pin. So that, yes, if you add that up, that will fit, unless you're using those crazy cards that have 3 or more PCI Express power connectors, that will allow you to do triple or even quad SLI or Crossfire X. Very nice. Here is your heavy-duty AC power cable to plug that in. It's a thicker gauge than most cables, so it can provide additional current. And here we have our peripheral power connectors. So this one has 4 Molex plugs and a floppy. We'll try to separate the Molex ones first. This one also has 4 Molex plugs and a floppy. And this one has, oh, this is a little hybrid cable. This one you get 2 Molex and 2 SATA. So that gives you 4, 8, 10 Molex total, 2 floppies. And then starting here with SATA, 2 SATA for that one, 4 SATA for this one, 4 SATA for this one, and another 4 SATA for this one. So 4, 8, 12, 14 total serial ATA connectors, along with those 10 Molex connectors and the 2 floppy connectors. So plenty of power cables for the 1,350 watt power supply. And that's going to wrap it up for this video. Once again, this has been the ENERMAX FULMO mid-tower computer case featuring the Max Revo 1,350 watt power supply pre-installed. I'm Paul with Newegg TV. If you enjoyed today's video, please head over to our Newegg YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more tech videos. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.